Hey yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MoBetta Sports Show. I am your host Antonio, aka Mr.MoBetta, and today we have got a whole lot to get into, man. It has been about 10 days since the last time we were back in front of the camera. It's just that point in the season, in the college football season, where there's a lot of off-season stuff going on, recruiting, transfer portal stuff. We've now kicked into bowl season now that Christmas is over with, which, by the way, I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas Eve, got to spend time with your families, got to see everybody that you hadn't been able to see in a long time, got the gifts that you wanted, all that good stuff. But the best part of all of it is being able to kick your feet up and watch some college football all week long. And that is what we have been able to do. And for once, as Texas fans, we don't have a college football bowl game to be looking forward to playing in. Thankfully, my goodness, when was the last time we were playing in a bowl game that took place after December 28th or 29th? We just last night got to witness, first off, we kicked bowl season off the complete right way in seeing not only Texas A&M lose to Oklahoma State in the Texas Bowl, but also seeing Oklahoma lose to Arizona 38-24 last night. So Texas, as far as I'm concerned, is already 2-0 in bowl season. We're starting it off great. Bowl season has been a lot of fun so far. There's been, of course, with the transfer portal and the way all this kind of stuff is shaking out, there's a lot of teams that are depleted of their best players. A lot of opt-outs, transfers, you name it. Teams have been hit hard. Texas A&M was no stranger to that. I think they were down to like their fourth-string quarterback. Florida State, as we know, has 19 players that are not going to be playing in their bowl game against Georgia. So, yeah, that is going to be a scary, scary scene come that bowl game. Whatever day the least important bowl games are finally played. I can't remember. Yeah. Anyways, but with all that being said, as y'all know, Texas is going to be taking on Washington in the Sugar Bowl Monday at 7:45 p.m. The team has already landed in New Orleans. They have been practicing for a couple of days now. And the anticipation is super, super high. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to get into. We're going to get into all of the breakdown of the game, what to be expecting, what we've seen from Washington, what we can expect from these teams, and what I think is going to happen, how I think the turnout is going to be. We'll get into all of that later on in the episode, so be sure you stick around. All right, man. We're going to go ahead and get straight into this breakdown. And before we do, I just want to apologize to y'all. I know I probably sound a little bit different. I am going through a little bit of a cold. Been taking some medicine. I've been getting better over the past couple of days. But it is a pain in the ass. It's the worst time of the year for me. In this regard, I hate getting sick. Being sick is the most annoying thing. I hate being stuffy like this. I hate just mucus constantly dripping. It's really, really annoying. It's really annoying. But hopefully I'm getting towards the tail end of it and I'll be back to normal in the next couple of days. Preferably before Texas plays. That would be great because I would hate to have to see them play and be sick at the same time. But anyways, moving forward. Yes, Texas is going to be taking on the Washington Huskies in a rematch of last year's Alamo Bowl. Of course, we know Michael Penix Jr., Jalen Polk, Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, Dylan Johnson, all these great players that the Washington Huskies offense are equipped with. They are going to be coming to ball out in this game. Not only that, but I think one of the most overlooked parts of Washington's offense is the fact that their offensive line just won the Joe Moore Award for the best offensive line in college football, as they've only allowed, I believe, something like 11 sacks on Michael Penix all season long. So, that offense is going to have some explosive plays lined up. Kellen DeBoer is an excellent head coach. Not only is he an excellent head coach, but he is also an excellent offensive mind, a brilliant offensive mind, much like Steve Sarkisian, as I talked about in the previous video. So Texas is going to have its hands full against this Washington offense. And really, I think that is, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is going to be not necessarily the offense against Texas's defense, but whether Texas's D-line can get pressure on Michael Penix and the Washington front. I think that is really what is going to be the most important thing in this whole game. The most determinant factor in this entire game is going to be whether or not the Texas defensive line can get pressure on Michael Penix Jr., especially the interior of the line. If you go across any of Washington's previous games, whether it be Arizona State, Arizona, Oregon, even though they won, and put up some gaudy numbers, 36, 34 points in both of those games that they played Oregon. There were other games where they really struggled offensively. They struggled to score. They struggled to move the ball at times. And Michael Penix was forced into throwing interceptions and throwing bad balls and really just throwing 50-50 balls, hoping that somebody comes down with it. You see that all the time. And the common theme when those things tend to happen is that Michael Penix has pressure in his face, whether it's simulated pressures, which by simulated pressures, I mean looking like you're going to be blitzing, bringing more than 5 people, and instead when the ball is snapped, dropping back more people into coverage or bringing blitzers from the outside in places you wouldn't expect, trying to really confuse Michael Penix. And when they've been able to do that, when they've been successful doing that, Michael Penix allows himself to make errant throws. Now, does it happen often? No. And that is why, of course, the Washington offense is averaging 37.7 points per game, right? They're averaging over 340 yards passing per game, averaging over 125 yards rushing per game, and averaging a total of about 469 yards per game. The reason for that is because they don't make a lot of mistakes. Right? Now, that's not to say that opportunities aren't going to be there, but they don't make a ton of mistakes. Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan are all NFL talents at receiver. Rome Odunze is going to be a first-round receiver. If not in the first round of the draft, he will go in, I would say, at the latest in the second round. And somebody would be getting a steal, like CeeDee Lamb type steal in the second round. Now, I'm not saying that he's as good as CeeDee Lamb by any means, but that similar type of draft stock, if he were to fall to the second round, somebody would be getting a really, really good pickup. Jalen McMillan is an excellent receiver as well. He has been having some trouble down the line, and even I believe it's either Jalen McMillan or Jalen Polk where Washington's offense or Washington's team, the staff kind of had to show them film of themselves to kind of encourage them, remind them that they are as good of players as they think they are. I want to say this was Jalen McMillan. I could be mistaken. But the point is, these guys, they're just guys, right? They're just people. They're just players at the end of the day. While they are talented, we have equal talent. If not equal talent, we have talent that can match up very well against the Washington offense. It is going to be imperative that not only do we get pressure on the defensive line, but that our secondary communication has to be spectacular. We cannot have any mistakes in the secondary as far as communication is concerned. Now, we know Derek Williams is going to be out of this game for the first half because of the targeting penalty that he got against Oklahoma State. He's going to miss the entire first half. So, likely, I would say the most likely starters that we're going to see are Jaron Thompson and Michael Taft. Michael Taft and Keaton Crawford will probably interchange. But I think that I would prefer to see Jaron Thompson and Michael Taft back there just because Michael Taft is very cerebral. While he's not the most athletic, he's not as athletic as Keaton Crawford by any means. Not as fast, not nearly as athletic, but he has a lot better football intelligence, field intelligence. He's always in the right place at the right time. Jaron Thompson is much the same. He's slow on the back end. He can get beat deep, but short routes, in breaking routes, on those intermediate plays, he is very, very good. And we've seen him not only make plays on the ball, but also dislodge balls from receivers from hitting them hard enough. He can bring the hammer too, right? So we're going to need some of these guys, and I'm sure we're even going to rotate in. We might even see Jahdae Barron back there. Who knows? We might see Jahdae Barron back there. We're going to see a lot of rotation, right? Until we can kind of get Derek Williams back into the game in the second half and let him kind of get his feel and get his groove in there. Because in my opinion, I'm putting Derek Williams in as soon as he's available. He is by far your best coverage defender in the back end as far as safeties are concerned. And that is what we are going to be needing against this high-powered Washington offense. They don't do a ton of running. They're not really a run-first team. Now, that's not to say that they won't run the ball, because Dylan Johnson, especially over the last few games, has really picked up not only his intensity running the football, but his yards per carry. The way he's been running the ball has been extremely aggressive. He's fighting for yards. He's really been making a name for himself in Washington's offense, and so that has led to him getting more carries, allowing him to kind of take over games late in the game. Now, he is obviously going to be playing a completely different animal in Texas's defense, right? The front seven is probably the best they are going to have seen all season long, and I would say probably by far, really. I think our front seven is definitely better than Oregon's. Even our secondary, for the struggles that they have, I would put our secondary definitely up against Oregon's. So I think that by far this is going to be the best defense all around that Washington, has seen all season long. Let's not forget, Texas, at this point is basically a turnover in the red zone and a fourth down, a goal line stand against Oklahoma, 2 possessions away from being 13-0 and likely the number 1 team in the country. And that's not just because of their offense, that's because they play complementary football. They are very well balanced. Their defense is excellent. Texas's defense is excellent. They're only allowing 17.5 points per game. They're allowing 240 yards passing per game. They're allowing 80 yards rushing per game. Nobody's been able to run on our defense, and they're only allowing 320 yards total per game. Right now, that may seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, when you look at even say Washington's defense is almost allowing 400 yards per game, averaging over 100 yards in rushing and over 250 yards, I think even over 300 yards passing per game, right? So it could be worse. It definitely could be worse. We know Texas has weaknesses, and it is going to be up to PK to understand how to manipulate Michael Penix and how to disguise coverages. And we can't present to him defenses pre-snap that he sees post-snap. We have got to disguise defense. We have got to disguise coverage. We've got to we got to bluff blitz. We've got to bluff press coverage. I think, honestly, we've got to really play aggressive defense. Playing man coverage, again, like I've been saying all season long, is something that we've seen towards the latter half of the year. Getting hands on receivers. Allowing our defensive backs, our corners, allowing Manny Muhammad, who was the PFF freshman All-American, allowing Terrence Brooks to get up to the line of scrimmage and jam receivers off their routes. Don't let them get clean get-offs off their routes, right? You want to disrupt their routes, disrupt timing, and allow our defensive line to get pressure on Michael Penix. That is going to be the key, is playing complementary defense and really just doing each other's jobs, not doing anything more or less than they're asked to do. Make sure you're playing sticky coverage, allowing Byron Murphy and allowing Tavondre Sweat, allowing Barron Sorrell and Ethan Burke to put pressure on Michael Penix and make him force throws downfield. And if we can do that, I think we're going to have a lot of success against Washington's offense. Now, where does Washington have the advantage? Obviously, their advantage is in the fact that they have 3 NFL draft-worthy wide receivers. And if they can get time in the pocket, if Michael Penix can get 4 to 5 seconds in the pocket, no pressure, not have to worry about scrambling, not rolling out, not climbing the pocket, just being able to sit back and scan the field, he is going to pick us apart. There's no doubt about it. He is too good. There's a reason why he is a Heisman runner-up, right? He is too good to just allow to sit in a clean pocket. He will pick you apart. One thing that we know as Texas fans and watching this team play all season is that the secondary is the weakness, right? And by secondary, I should say the back half, the safeties. A lot of coverages get confused. A lot of routes get over the top. A lot of coverages get blown. And that's because of bad communication, not being able to pass off routes when they're in match coverage or man coverage. And by match coverage, that's, typically starting off in a zone coverage that, depending on the route that is declared by the receiver, can turn into man coverage underneath. A lot of times you see our safeties and corners get mixed up, and that's why, touchdowns were scored against Houston. Touchdowns were scored in the game against TCU, against, Kansas State, and all of these games, Oklahoma. All of these games, when there were big plays that happened on the back end, it's because there were miscommunications in the secondary. Texas has got to be perfect in communication in the secondary, like I said earlier. If we can do that, if we can put pressure on Michael Penix, if we can just play sound defense and continue to do what we've done all season long and stifle the run game, Texas is going to have a lot of success against Washington. And let's just be clear about something. It is not like this is a completely new team that Texas is seeing, right? We played Washington last year in the Alamo Bowl. We played the same offense, save for, I believe, Jalen Polk was not in that game. Rome Odunze was in that game. Jalen McMillan was in that game. They had another receiver, number 4, who was a pretty good receiver as well. They didn't have Dylan Johnson either. But Texas held Michael Penix in that high-flying offense, one of the best offenses again in the country last year as well. They held him to his worst completion percentage game, his lowest passing yards per game all season long of that entire season, right? One of his worst games statistically that he had in that entire season was against Texas, who had not only transfers, but was missing Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson. We were missing key players in our secondary and on our defense in general. DeMarvion Overshown didn't play in that game, right? We had a lot of players that were not playing, and we only lost that game by a touchdown. And to be honest, we are 2 probably drops away from winning that game, right? So the only thing that beat Texas in that game was actually not Washington's offensive air raid system. It was the run game. They ran for 160 yards on Texas defense last year. I can guarantee you that is not going to happen again this season. That is not going to happen in this game. I know that Kellen DeBoer is going to have this team prepared. Obviously, they're going to have a lot of different schemes. They run a lot of bunch nasty schemes, a lot of clustered schemes, a lot of receivers tight to the line of scrimmage, and they do that in order to neutralize playing man defense against them because playing man against bunch and stack coverages is almost a death sentence. It's very difficult to do unless you have some of the best athletes in the back end, which, as we know, it's one of our weaknesses. So we don't want to be caught in those situations. They're going to come out with a plethora of schemes and ways to attack Texas defense. But I fully trust the way that PK prepares this team and the way that he schemes this defense has already proven to work and to work well once before. I don't expect that it's going to be any different. I'm not going to lie to you guys. If Texas defense can come out and play a solid game, I think that we win by 2 to 3 touchdowns. I really do. That's not to say that, Washington is not going to score. I think it'll be a fairly high scoring game, but I don't think it'll be anything crazy, really. At least from the Washington side of the ball. I think Texas could win this game by 10 plus. I said it against Alabama. I'm saying it now. I think this is a 2-score victory if Texas can not only play well defensively, but can come out and get a fast start if they come out offensively. when they come out offensively. Quinn Ewers has got to be the same efficient, on target, on time Quinn Ewers he's been all season long. We cannot afford to have him make mistakes that he made in, say, the Oklahoma game, where you're staring down receivers and, throwing into coverage. Obviously, that was the second play of the game that he threw the pick against Oklahoma. Was staring down Adonai Mitchell, saw the corner about to break on the pass and threw it anyway for a pick. The interception to Jatavion Sanders in the red zone, at the 15-yard line, popped it into the air. It was an unfortunate play. He was off target by just a little bit. We can't have him do things like what he did against Oklahoma State, where he just threw an interception straight to Nick Anderson's face. I believe his name is not Nick Anderson, the linebacker, number 4. I can't remember what his name is. Anyway, threw it straight to him, right? And he almost took it for a touchdown. He cannot allow himself to do things like that if Texas is going to be successful offensively. Texas offensively has complete advantage. On the offensive line, at wide receiver, tight end, and running backs. When Jonathan Brooks went down, we thought Texas was really going to have a lull in the ground attack. And to be honest, you could almost argue that has actually been better, just because of all of the different ways that we have been able to attack defenses. The two-back system that Sark has implemented, where he's having 2 running backs in at the same time, has worked wonders. I mean, we've seen Keelan Robinson score on 60-yard touchdowns from that formation. We've seen Jaden Blue score a 57-yard touchdown out of 2-back systems. Every single time we have a two-back formation, we are picking up chunk yardages, and it's just because of all of the different ways that our running backs allow us to attack a defense. They can catch out of the backfield. CJ Baxter is explosive. I mean, really explosive through the line of scrimmage. He's a load to take down. He is hard to tackle, and he runs really aggressively. Jaden Blue and Keelan Robinson. Jaden Blue, I've really come to love the way Jaden Blue runs football, because while he looks more like that explosive, kind of scat back, between the tackles, he runs very, very hard. He is another one that is hard to take down. And then, of course, you have Keelan Robinson, who is basically like your, he's like your Swiss Army knife. He's a good running back. He's a good receiver out of the backfield. He can make you miss, and then if he gets into the open field, he's gone. You're not going to catch him, right? He's probably one of the fastest players on the field outside of Xavier Worthy. Washington's defense is going to have a really tough time. I have a feeling they're going to have a really tough time matching up against Texas offensively. We have too many ways to attack them, and Sark is too brilliant of an offensive mind to allow Washington to stop the plethora of talent that he has. I'm just being honest. I think this team is just honestly too talented. I think they're way too talented. I think that they have plenty of ways. There are plenty of ways that they can exploit Washington's secondary. Their secondary is not good. They're something like 93rd in the country at this point in passing yards per game allowed. As a matter of fact, we'll just go down some of the stats. Texas offensively is scoring 36 points per game. They're averaging 476 total yards per game, 287 yards through the air, 190 yards on the ground. Where Washington's defense, they're allowing 24 points per game. They're giving up almost 400 yards per game. 397 yards per game they're giving up total. 263 in the air and 135 yards on the ground on average. And they have not played a team nearly as explosive offensively as Texas is. Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is. USC was not as explosive as Texas' offense is. Oregon, their offense is not as explosive as Texas' offense is. Arizona, nope. Who? There's nobody. They have not played a team as complete and all around extremely talented as Texas. And to be quite honest, I think Texas is really the team to beat in this entire playoff. I think any team that matches up against Texas is going to have a really tough time. They're going to have to come and bring not only their A game, they're going to have to bring their A+. because Texas can bring their B game and still win. I don't think Washington can do that. Washington cannot bring their B game and still win. It is going to be a real battle in the trenches. Just like I've said for many games this season, and most importantly in games like this, because you have two high-flying offenses, the game is going to be won in the trenches. Whoever can get off the field on third downs, get off the field on fourth down attempts, because you know that they're going to be fourth down attempts. Whoever can keep the opposing team in second and third and medium to third and longs, that's going to be the team to win this game. And let's not forget special teams. Texas's special teams is top tier. They are elite. We all have an elite special teams unit. And I would expect that the special teams is going to play a major, major factor in this game. Whether it be field goals, whether it be block kicks, whether it be a kick return, something critical is going to happen in the special teams game that is going to be a determining factor in this game. I can almost guarantee it, especially in games like this. Unless Texas just comes out with a killer game plan and executes on all fronts and firing on all cylinders and gets some turnovers, then I think that we can kind of blow this game out of the water. I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas win this game, like I said, by 10 plus. I think that as long as they don't beat themselves, as long as we play turnover-free football, and we just take it one play at a time, one quarter at a time, keep your foot on the gas, never let up, I think Texas has a chance to really, really shock a lot of people in the way that they beat this Washington team. You heard it here first. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just a fan, right? I'm just giving you what I see, what I think. Who knows? I could be completely wrong. Texas could come and get blown out the water. I would just be greatly, greatly surprised to see it. But yeah, so I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say Texas gets out of this game. Quinn Ewers is going to have himself a hell of a game like he had in the Big 12 championship. I say he has himself about 3 touchdowns, probably 300 yards passing. I think we have about 150 to 200 yards on the ground. And I think Texas wins this game. Man, y'all are going to think I'm crazy. I think Texas wins this game 41-24. 41-24. That's going to be my guess. I think we kind of run away with it towards the end of the game. Who knows? We will see. We have just a couple more days. 2 more days. I cannot think about anything else. I'm so excited for this game. I'm ready, man. Texas has a chance to go make some damn history for this school, for this program, and set themselves up to be national championship, not only contenders, but winners. It's been a fun ride all season long. I'm just glad to be able to keep seeing this team play and see them play this deep into the season, right? It's really awesome. It's a great time to be a Longhorn fan. And no matter the outcome, I'm just grateful to have seen such a great season be put together. I'm grateful to have seen Sark really come full circle as a head coach and go from a 5-7 program that was destitute, that looked terrible, looked like they were on the completely wrong path, to now 12-1 in the Sugar Bowl and fighting for a chance to win a national championship. And one thing that is a resounding theme around this team is that they love each other. They are bought in completely, not only to each other, but into Sark, and that he has them in a completely different mindset as far as culture is concerned, as far as brotherhood is concerned. And that is one of the things, and the players have said as much, that is one of the things that allows them to play so freely and so aggressively and so well with each other. They trust each other, they love each other, and they play for each other. And I think all of that is going to come to fruition, and Texas is going to get themselves a W. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and let you get out of here. Texas has a chance to do something great. We'll see how it goes. If you enjoyed the video, if you're here still at this point, please do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Smack a like on the video so we get it out to the college football verse, out to the YouTube universe. And of course, turn those notification bells on so you never miss an episode. Because remember, no matter where you look, there's no better place than MoBetta Sports for your latest football takes. I am Antonio, aka Mr. MoBetta, and I am out. Peace and hook 'em, baby.